Welcome back, and can you please call the witnesses in? Welcome, Mr. Sise and Mr. Tarawally. Council, can we proceed? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Before we proceed, though, I'm informed that Mr. Sise is not feeling well and would like to be excused. So I would apply to the Commission that he be excused for today whilst we proceed with Mr. Tarawally.
Very well, Council. Mr. Sise, sorry, and we wish you a speedy recovery. We will call you back when we need you to come and clarify some certain issues before us. Thank you so much. You can take your leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Mr. Tarawally, I would like to continue with the examination by taking you through some of the reports that were tendered. Mr. Registrar, may I be availed of the exhibits that were tendered today? Do you happen to have another copy of the report so that we can follow simultaneously, or?
Whether I'm having another copy?
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Witness, you are still reminded that you are on the oath.
Oh, well, I am having this laptop, I don't know.
Okay, Chairperson, would the Commission permit the witness to follow the reports with the copy on his computer so that we can go through them simultaneously?
Very well. I believe that what he has in his laptop is the same as what is being admitted in evidence. If that is the case, he can do so.
Is what you have on your laptop the same as what?
Exactly. They are just produced exact copies.
Okay. Thank you. I'm grateful, Chairperson. So let me refer you to Exhibit ARBSE002, which is the audit for Bassa Area Council for the year ended 31st December 2019. Are you there?
I'm open. Bassa, right?
Yes, for the year ending 31st December 2019.
Sorry, Mr. Tarawally, before you answer the question, I just want to ask Council. Can you please guide the Commission whether all the reports have been tendered, whether it's all the municipalities' report that was availed to you, so that we know if there are any ones that are outstanding? You kindly request that those be provided if they have any before you continue.
Yes, we have previously requested that the one for Banjul, for the management letter for 2017 to 2018 be provided, because we do not have that. We only have the audit report and final management letter for Banjul City Council. But the reports for Kuntaur Area Council have been tendered. The ones for Canifing Municipal Council have been tendered. Mansakonko Area Council, Kerewan Area Council, one for Banjul City Council, Janjambure Area Council, Brikama Area Council, and Basse Area Council. So that's 8. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you. You can proceed.
I'm grateful. Mr. Tarawally, are you at the report?
Yes, on we can proceed. Unfortunately, I didn't see Basse in the soft copy.
Okay.
Maybe I just but it's okay. We can.
Yeah, I'll let you
Yeah,
look at the
proceed, yeah.
exhibit itself. Now, page 4 of the report begins with the General Counsel presents the audited financial statements. Now, this is what is sent by the Council?
Yeah, it said the General Counsel responsibility for the preparation of the financial statement. These are just standard wordings, just to tell them that it's your responsibility to prepare the financial statement, and then auditors, our responsibility is to review and express an opinion. These are just the nature of the audit report.
Thank
it's
you.
just the standard wordings, yeah.
Thank you. Now, on page 7 of that report, you have provided an opinion.
Yes.
You have said that you have audited the financial statements of Basse Area Council, which comprise the balance sheet as at 31st December 2019, and the revenue and expenditure statement for the year then ended, and notes to the financial statement. Your opinion in the report is that the statements are prepared in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles.
Yeah.
So does that mean that the contents of the statement, the financial statement, are correct?
Yes, this was the last audit in Basse Area Council 2019. This is the period 1st January 2019 to 31st December 2019. That audit was a clean opinion, meaning the financial statement was prepared in all material aspects. I mean, it is true and fair. This was as of 2019. Yes, so you are right in that aspect.
So tell us about your audit opinion. What generally does it mean? What types of opinions can you have in respect of reports that you have prepared?
Okay. The audit opinion simply means the view of the opinion, but all opinions are backed by evidence, and you don't just express an opinion. You have to arrive at a conclusion with evidence, and these evidence are backed by standards, auditing standards, and best practices. You have different type of opinions. You have the unqualified. In auditing, unqualified means the financial transactions are true and fair. You don't, but before you get to that, we always make this clarification. Our audit is based on sampling, and the process and procedures and the standards we are using. We will mention all these things in the report. And when he said it's unqualified, that means it's a clean report, it is true and fair. That doesn't mean that there is no error, but they are minimal, or they are not material enough for you to say that they are not true and fair. That is the unqualified. I know maybe in ordinary terms, something that is unqualified might be maybe is not true and fair, but for auditing is the other way around. Okay. And then you have qualified opinions. These qualified opinions has different distinctions under qualifications. You have the except for. That means the financial statement is true and fair, but except for. That except for means most of the balances are correct, but maybe there are one or two, except for that, the opinion is the financial statement is true and fair. That is one, except for. That means you cannot say it is true and fair, but you can say it is true and fair except for, and then you will mention those things, the reason why you said except for this, this, and that. And then the reason why you said that, you have to mention that one also. That's what is called the basis for opinion. And then you have adverse opinion. Adverse opinion means most of the account balances are having issues. They are misstated, there are errors, there are omissions. So you cannot say the financial statement is true and fair, except for this, except for this, except for this. You cannot continue. So there, if it is pervasive, adverse and pervasive, material and pervasive, meaning it affects a lot of balances, then you say it is adverse. That is to say it is not true and fair. The financial statement is not true and fair. And then you have disclaimer. I think most of the council, you see disclaimer. Disclaimer means the auditor is not able to express an opinion because you have constraint. Maybe there is a system, but you are not able to go to the system to verify these transactions. They give you figures, these figures are not supported. So the auditor is saying, I have reviewed the financial statement, but I cannot express an opinion on this financial statement because I don't know. The figures given to me, I cannot verify them. So that is where we will express a disclaimer of opinion on the financial statement. These are some of the common opinions expressed as far as the area councils are concerned.
Thank you. Now, on page 8 of the report, you have stated that the financial statement has been prepared on a cash basis accounting in accordance with the Financial and Accounting Manual for local government authorities. What does this mean, this cash basis accounting?
Yes, these are the accounting principles. Each and every institution has there is a method that you use in preparing your financial statement. And that method needs to be prescribed in your manual. For area councils, cash basis meaning their operations are mainly cash. If you are to buy something, you use cash to buy it. If you are receiving revenue, you receive it. Others might be saying accrual based. Accrual based means somebody might render service to you, but you haven't paid, or maybe the rates and taxes that they're supposed to collect, they are owed, but they haven't received yet. So in that way, you can use accrual basis. It will depend on the nature of the institution. But area council, cash basis is just telling you most of their operations are cash basis. They deal with cash to buy, cash to transact. That's why their method of preparing finances is cash basis.
Thank you. On page 9 of the report, at the bottom, there are 2 columns for assets and liabilities. And under assets, they have listed cash and bank balances as well as debtors. Now, would you consider the debtors as assets?
Yes, debtors, I know now we use receivables, but area council, because of their manuals, they're still using debtors, but that is fine. These debtors mean, debtors is an asset. This thing you are seeing is called the balance sheet. Okay. For their balance sheet comprises of the assets and the liabilities of the institutions. Debtors are assets. They are called current assets. Current assets, these are the assets, or this is the money that you are expected to receive within the year. If it is physical cash, it's an asset for you. But debtors, you owing me, but I'm expecting a cash from you within that year, within the year. So that is what is called debtors or current assets or receivables. So you will bring them as an asset, current assets, because you are expected to receive that physical cash in a short period of time. That is why it is an asset to you. You don't receive the physical cash yet, but you are expected to receive it within this shortest period of time. So that's why it is classified as an asset.
Thank you. And then under assets, the balance is $3,414,312.38, and it's the same amount on the balance for liabilities. Is this usual?
Yes, this is usual because it needs to be balanced. Because you know accounting is double entry. Any debit transaction must have a corresponding credit entry. So for your book to be balanced, you know, the assets and liabilities need to balance. So it is normal, it is usual. If at all there is any figure here that is having an unusual thing, then the management letter will explain that. We'll bring that one and we'll explain. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Now, under review of governance,
Yes.
you have indicated certain lapses.
Yes.
You have indicated that there's no development committee, and that the contracts committee has only one member, who is the chairperson.
Yes.
You follow it?
Yes, I'm following now, yeah.
Now, what are the risk implications for these lapses?
You said under governance, say that again.
Under review of governance, you have indicated that there are certain lapses.
Yes.
That there's no development committee. The contracts committee has only one member, who is the chairperson. So my question is, what are the risk implications for these lapses?
Yes, the implication, because you know, if we are auditing the council, you know, as national audit, as supreme audit institution, when we go to the councils, we don't just focus on the financial transaction, the revenue, but we look at the operations of the councils, and then we start with the governance, because if the governance structures are not in place, obviously these are some of the issues that will have an impact on the financial statement. So we always divide our audit into sections: governance, internal controls, and finance. So these are just from, if you look at the finding, it said section 34, subsection 1 of Local Government Act 2002 required that a council shall establish the committee referred to in part 4 and the following order committee: finance, establishment, development, and such other committees. So the implication here is, for them, according to the audit report, there was no evidence that a development committee, as required by the Local Government Act, we don't see any evidence of that development. And this is a requirement that the councillors, there should be a development committee, and then a finance and contract committee are both set up, both headed by the same person. The contract committee did not have any other member other than the chairperson. You should have a contract committee, and then you have a finance committee. But in this case, it's only one person who is heading both. So that is a lapse. And then the implication, just to answer your question, the implication is saying weak governance will imply that the operation of the council will fall almost exclusively in the hand of the executive. This may then result in poor or no oversight, and hence poor internal control, because it's like the chairperson was the one heading the finance and the contract committee. And then if he is the one heading all these things, then that can have an impact on the governance structure, because the power will be less on only few individuals. So that is the implication. That is the risk.
And considering the contracts committee usually deals with procurement matters.
Yes.
And there's only one member who is the chair, who's the chairperson.
Yes.
Do you think this would be an avenue for fraudulent contracts, or contracts in which someone has an personal interest in when it comes to procurement processes?
Yes, it can lead to, you know, auditors don't wait until when the risk crystallize happen and then usually we audit, it points at potential risks. And then most of the time, that's why any finding, we will code the criteria. This is from their own operational documents. Local Government Act said you should have this, this, and that. Then auditors will come and review. According to your document, this is how it should be, but you are doing it contrary, and then we look at the risks. Yes, if you look at some of these things, because the contract committee should be the one responsible for the contract, the procurements, and then the finance committee, mostly anything that has to do with the audit reports, the finance committee has to, you know, review that. They should have the knowledge and the background. So if this is lacking, the auditors will always flag it so that something can be done about it. But I think also, just to help maybe the management, they've also responded to some of these things, and then maybe that will give an idea of what is their stand as far as the audit finding is concerned.
I think one of the issues that was raised in respect of the committees was also that there was an average of less than 1 meeting minute recorded in the year on file. And so it would essentially be impossible to know what went on if meetings were actually held.
Exactly, because this is something that we always buttress, and it comes in almost all our reports. You have committees, and then the committee for roast to know that these committees exist or what is transpiring is the minutes, because the minutes should be prepared, filed, so that if an independent reviewer comes, then you can know what is happening in the council or what has transpired, or if they have taken any decision. It's the minutes that will tell you how did they arrive at that decision. But if that is lacking, even if they will say, yeah, we've been meeting, but our audit is evidence-based. If we are meeting, but there is no minutes to show that you've been meeting, as far as we are concerned, we flag it as an internal control weakness.
Thank you. But I note that the risk that has been placed on that issue is medium.
Yes, because if you look at the audit finding, this ranking, if it is high, that means if it is not regularized immediately, it can lead to a total failure of the institution. If it is medium, meaning even if it is not regularized immediately, it doesn't mean that the operation will be affected. But we are just telling them that it needs to be regularized in future. It might not be immediately, but you should work towards, solving that issue. So it's just the impact, yeah.
Okay. Can we look at page 4 of the management letter? I believe it is.
Page?
4 of the management letter.
Okay.
I realize that the pagination has issues.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, so page 4 of the management letter states that the council does not have an internal audit department, contrary to section 26(1) of the Local Government Finance and Audit Act. I had asked you earlier about the interface between the National Audit Office and the Internal Audit Unit. But can you tell us what risks are posed by the fact that there was no internal audit department?
Yes, because this is also as per the regulation, a council should have an internal audit department staffed with competent people. Because the purpose of internal audit is to help the management. It's a management tool to help the management, to do the risk assessment, and where there are risks, he has to work with the management to make sure that those things are regularized. It's the internal control system before the external auditors come in. Where the internal auditor is part of the process and then should be helping the management on a day-to-day basis to mitigate the risks. So if you don't have an internal audit, payments can go past, payment can go without being supported, payment can be, so the time the external auditors come, external auditors comes once every year, and then our audit is based on sampling. So when we come, by then, most of the issues has already happened. So the internal auditor is there to help them to mitigate and regularize those things before the external auditors comes. So this internal audit is different from the internal audit director. Each and every council is supposed to have their own internal auditor helping with the management.
And this is an issue that actually got worse, because in 2017 and 2018, they had, I believe the report indicated that there was only one internal audit, there was only one staff. The finding is, we noted that the internal audit department has only one staff. His current audit coverage is restricted to only vetting of revenue collections and occasional pre-audit of expenditure. Other core functions such as internal control reviews and risk assessments remain unattended to. There are no plans and strategies by the unit for its audits, and there are no evidence that this approach follows any standards. This is from the 2017-2018 report. So as at that time, they had one, and then in 2019, they had none.
Yes. If it's the heading is no internal audit function, right? Or no internal?
Yes, assessment of internal audit function. And then the finding was that you noted that there was the internal audit department has only one staff.
So meaning it's having a staff, but it's not adequate because his functions were only limited to, and then which he should do. This, you know, the internal audit function is beyond that, because you have to look at the risks. You have to assess the risks in the councils and prepare a report on a quarterly basis and submit this report to the General Council. So that's why the internal auditor, you are not even supposed to report to the CEO. You should prepare whatever is happening in the council. You are part of it. You are there to help management. You should prepare a report and then make sure that these reports are submitted to the council, to the General Council, and even to the ministry, so that they can know what is happening at that council. So when the external auditors come, we will rely on that report. We will put some reliance on that report to review it, and that will give us an idea of what is going on in this council. So, but if this is not happening, then that's why most of these things are just crystallizing across all the councils. At times, some of them, they will have the internal auditor, but just the name, but he's not doing what he or she is supposed to do. Because one, at times, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the competency, no audit background. You have some internal auditor who doesn't even have an audit background. You go to their file, you don't see anything related to auditing. And then again, when you are there, they will be talking to you verbally. You said, where is the report? They cannot. It's like they are constrained. So these are some of the weaknesses that we always bring out in our report, so that the stakeholders, the oversight, can know this is what is happening and take necessary action to regularize it.
Thank you. In their response to that query, they said that they have now appointed an internal auditor. Do you know how long it took them from when you raised the issue in 2019, because, well, for 2019, that they remedied the situation?
Yes, the internal auditor has been appointed.
But do you know, maybe have an idea of how long it took from when you raised it to when they appointed one?
We might not know, because for us, when we audit this year, when we report that, we only go there the next year, and then we will only do that confirmation next year. Last year, according to our listing, there was no internal audit. But this year, are you having it? Yes, we just confirmed. So I might not know exactly when was it regularized. For us, we only look at whether it has been, recommendation has been implemented or not. Yeah.
Okay. And then there's also a date under the response box. There's a date by which it's stated the date by which the situation in the query will be remedied. Who provides that date? Is it the NAO, or is it
anything
else?
in the management response is for the management. It's the management of the institution we are auditing. It's the council. So action to be taken is the council. They will say the CEO or the director of finance, officers responsible. All these things is them. For us, they will send us the response in soft copy or in what, and then we will just copy and then place it there. We don't even change the wordings.
Okay. But you had indicated that some things you give them, I think, 3 weeks or a month to remedy whatever the query is.
Yeah, that will be the response. That is part of the audit process before the report. When we go there, if we write our draft, we will send the draft to them for them to review and provide their response to our draft. So we'll give them 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, depending on the volume of this thing. Yeah. That is before we finalize the report. But this action to be taken is for them to say when are they going to intend to regularize this particular issue.
Thank you. Page 6 of the management letter, I believe, states that there was no balance sheet for the period under review. What does that mean?
Yeah, at this point, there was no balance sheet. That is the statement to show the assets and liabilities. This was during the draft because before you even, after the 3 months of every year, let's say we are in 2023 now, after the first quarter, all councils are supposed to prepare their financial statement. Financial statements comprise of this income and expenditure, the balance sheet, and then the other statements, and submit everything to the National Audit Office. But this has not been happening. So when we get there for the audit, they haven't submitted the financial statement, this balance sheet, then it will come as an observation that we are there but no balance sheet has been submitted. But for this case, when we were there, there was no balancing. But when we came back, sent our draft, before we finalized the report, they prepare one. So that is what has been shown on the previous pages. Yeah. But some of these we will flag it so that the readers can know that they haven't submitted it at the right time. And this is a law. Yeah.
Okay. Page 11. It says there is no evidence on file that the council used any scientific basis for the preparation of its budget.
Page 11. What's the name of the finding?
I don't have
the heading. I mean the heading.
I don't have the heading.
Okay. Page 11, right?
Page 11 of the management letter, I believe.
Okay.
It's about their budget.
Okay, expenditure, budget, and revenue, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So it says that there is no evidence on file that the council used any scientific basis for the preparation of its budget.
Yeah.
Can you please explain that further?
Yes. The finding, budget is not just budget has to, budget. This is your plan, and you don't just sit and then put figures and say this is what we need for 2023. It has to be backed by certain actions. It has to be triggered by something. The figures have something must trigger the figures. So if you just send a budget, prepare a budget, and then what is the basis of that budget? That is what has not been, what basis did they use to prepare this budget? That was not clear to the auditor. So that's why we flag it. And then they respond, henceforth, the management will respectively follow the finance and accounting manual for the local government act, because their manual has stated, what are the procedures for them to prepare their budget. But in this case, that wasn't followed in preparing their budget. So that's what we have flagged.
Yes, because I note you stated that there's no indication that budget circulars were dispatched to wards and subcommittees to include proposals for the budget.
Yes, there was no evidence the steps required as the finance manual were followed. This include, but not limited to, dispatching budget circulars to wards and council subcommittee to include proposal, the finance committee, because this is for the council. So the wards, you need to get the feedback, the input at the wards level, at various ward levels. It's like these are procedures that need to be followed before you can come up with a consolidated budget and send it to your ministry. But there was no evidence that these procedures were followed, and then all what we've seen was a consolidated budget. So that's why we queried. You cannot just, at least it has to be triggered from somewhere. The wards council, they need, your councillor, their input need to be sought and then included in the budget. And they said henceforth they will do that.
So does that mean that whatever budget it was that they prepared was likely not a true reflection of what the council would actually, what the expenditure and revenue would be for the year coming?
It might not be realistic, because this is budget. It's not the actual, but this is budget. But the budget needs to be reasonable, because if you are budgeting for the whole council, so if you just prepare figures without the input from the other stakeholders, let's say at the ward level, the budget might not be realistic. It might be an imposed budget. You are just telling them, but you are not getting it from them. So that's the thing. So we are just looking at, and it can lead to, unrealistic budgeting. So for auditors, we don't just say, okay, this is what will happen, but what it can trigger, the risks it can trigger. So we'll make sure that we flag that one so that you can take note of it.
Thank you. Let's look at page 12 of the management letter. It's about bank reconciliations.
Yes.
And it says that no bank reconciliation was performed for the 6 bank accounts of the council. Please tell us about this.
Yeah, because bank reconciliation is like you making withdrawals from the bank, you enter them in your cash book, you send in checks, so at the end of every month, according to the regulation, you have to reconcile, because there might be checks that you send to the bank, but they have not been cleared. There might be payments that have been sent, they haven't hit your account. There might be payments that were dishonored. So you have to reconcile at the end of every month to say, okay, this is the amount in the bank and the amount in the cash, according to your cash book, they tally, they reconcile. That's the purpose of bank reconciliation. So that if there is any error, you can regularize it. If there is any unpresented checks on deposit, you can regularize them. Because you use these bank reconciliations to prepare your financial statement. These are some of the that will be used in supporting your financial statement. So if you don't get these things right, you cannot, there is no way that you can come up with a credible financial statement.
Thank you.
Can I come in here before you proceed? Mr. Tarawally, yes. It is true that in the Local Government Act, specifically in Part 7, that is the financial provisions, it is provided for the councils to be to have financial autonomy. During the course of your investigation and looking at their budget, what is your assessment with regards to the funds and vis-a-vis how they were spending these funds pursuant to particularly Section 127 of the Act and 128. 127 is talking about the council should have financial autonomy, and 128 is talking about the revenue and funds of the council. So whilst conducting your business, that is to find out how they are operating their funds, that is the rates and taxes and any other funds that they might have received. Pursuant to this legislation, what are the issues that you really found to be very challenging with this particular municipality?
Yes, our report is divided into governance, internal controls, and finance. So the issues found during the audit are also reported at the finance section of the report. So I don't know, because this was since 2019. This was since 2019. So, but we have a section here about finance. So some of those issues, if you will allow me, will are reported at the finance section of this report. Yeah. Yes, please. Yes.
Sorry, I will want you to elaborate more.
Okay.
The reason for my question is the fact that you have said in your evidence that over the years, these councils don't even provide financial statements.
Yes.
So I am at a loss as to how these councils were being operated if they cannot even provide financial statements.
Yes. Yeah.
And they are guided over the period also with the provisions of, law that should guide them as to what they are supposed to do.
Yeah. Before the 20, that's why we make sure that we cannot continue. But 2019, at least they submit something. Whether it's credible, that is something else. You will see those things in the subsequent reports or whatever. But at least now they are bringing something that auditors can review. Before, nothing absolutely. But when we get to the finance, you will see some of the issues also about those finances, those rates and taxes. Yeah.
Council, you can proceed.
Thank you.
Just wanted some clarification. In your discourse on the Basa Area Council, you said you had a clean audit in 2019 as opposed to previous ones.
Say again?
I said in your statement, you said Basa Area Council had a clean audit in 2019.
Yes.
Now, my question is, you are saying all of these things, no balance